Okay, hello, my friend. Hopefully that you are doing great. So in this lesson, I want to say you about the selector strategies and how to interact with the first element on the application. Okay, so it's very interesting for this lesson. So let me try to share you about the selector strategies first. So basically, if we want to interact with the element on the screen, we need to specify some strategies, something like the accessibility ID, class name, ID, name, or aspect. Okay, so the first thing is accessibility ID. Let me try to open the appium desktop first. So if you didn't open the appium desktop, you try to open the appium desktop. Okay, so if you still keep the session, now if you try to refresh or something like that, if you have something like the errors now, so in this case, you need to try to close this inspector session and then you try to launch it again. Okay, okay, not this is not the one. It seems I need to click on the edit here, GUI automator 2, and then I will save it. Now I will start the session. Again, you can see it start the appium server here, and we just need to wait a moment for it to grab the application screen. So this is the device screen, and you can see the appium is now trying to unlock the device first and then try to launch the target application. Just wait a moment, and sorry for any background noise around. Okay. Okay, here we go. So you can see it's launched the target application here, and this is our screen. So let me try to click here. So here is the select element. I just select this one. Somehow it doesn't navigate to the correct view. Let me try to refresh it again. Then I will try to click here. So this is the target element that I want to interact in this lesson. Okay, so for example, I click here. You see we have something inside here for the icon here and the text here, but I want to click here. That should be enough. Okay, so you look at the right side. We have the accessibility ID here as the login. So what does that mean? If we come back to the slide here, you can see the accessibility attribute from if we are using to test on the iOS, this will be the accessibility ID. But if for Android, we need to look at the contents description attribute here. So you scroll down here, and then you can see the contents description here. It's just the same with accessibility ID. So if you are using the iOS, that means you want to try to automate on simulator, iOS simulator. So you just need to grab the accessibility ID here. Or on the Android, we just need to use the content description here. So that means when you see something content description, it will match to the strategy, and then you can see later to find the element from the accessibility ID. Okay, so this is the first one. The second one is class name. So what does it mean of the class name? So for Android, it's the full name of the UI Automator 2 class. So in this case, it will be this class. So this will be the class name. Okay. And the ID will be the resource ID if we have or the name on the iOS, but I don't think we have this one. Let me try to click here. Do we have any thing related to the resource ID? It seems we don't have any to show you here. So that means we will not have that one all the time. Okay, but if we have something like resource ID, that means it should be the strategy find by ID. Okay, and the name is the name of the element. Okay, and the expect. So basically, if you use expect on mobile, we have some performance issue. Okay, but for some time, we need to use the expect. Okay, so if you go here and then you see here we have something related to the aspect here. So if you try to go to Android view group here, you see, and then if you specify as the contents description equal login. Okay, so for example, if you have a team and you work with developer closely, so please tell the developer team to apply some semantics label, so it should be easier for you to automate the application. Try to avoid using expect. Okay, so now I just want to do something very simple in this lesson, that I want to click on this login form, login label, and try to navigate to the login form. Okay, so just go back to the IDE, and then I want to create a new package under the test. Here I will create something like test API learning, and in the first lesson we will learn how to click on element. Okay, here, so inside this class I will create another main method here, and what I want to do that I will try to just copy all of the things over from this. Okay, let me try to copy it, and then I will put it here. So here, as you still remember, we will try to send the capability to the appium server, and then we will try to reassign the appium driver here. And after that, I need to add something like appium driver manage the timeout, and I want to put some implicitly timeout here to be 30 seconds with the appium driver here. So that means basically, let me see, it seems we need to put the move this way here. So we have the long and the time units. Okay, sorry, it's not the driver. So 30 and the time units from second here. So here we go. So basically I want to apply something globally to wait an element to display on our application during the testing is the maximum 30 seconds. So that means after 30 seconds, if the appium cannot find any element that matches with the locator value, it will throw an issue. But if it can find the element sooner than that time, that will return for us the element ID. Okay, so we go something like appium driver dot find element by accessibility ID. Okay, find element by you can put something like by accessibility ID here, and then you can put the accessibility ID here. So in this case, I want to target this one, and then I will copy the accessibility ID. But again, remember, we are using the Android, so you need to find out the content description here, because sometimes it's feel different with the accessibility ID here. Okay, so I put it here, and then after that, it will return for me a mobile element. Okay, in this case, it will be login label equal this one. So mobile element login label equal appium driver find element by accessibility ID. And then after that, I use the mobile element that is returned from appium server after it find out the element for me, right? And then I just use the click here. Okay, I just click on it. And now I want to run this one. Let me try to. So before you run, you need to make sure you start the appium server on the target port. In this case, the port is 4723 first, okay? And after that, let me try to close here. And then try to click on the runs button here. Run, click on element.main. Now I open the console to see whether we can send the desired capability to the appium server, and try to open here, you see. And then it will try to launch the application. After the test is successfully, I will try to go back to the appium server log, and then I will try to explain for you something, and then you can understand more under the hood uh, what were appium server doing. Okay. So now you see it's run the application, and if you try, you see it click on the login here successfully. Okay. So now just go back a little here, and then you can see here is using something like it's first try to here export element. So that means if you try first thing first, we have a session here. So after we send the design capability, if everything is correct, we will have a session ID. And then under that session ID, we will try to find the element with the body here. So you can see strategy here is accessibility ID here. With the selector is login. This is the value. We don't have any context, multiple false. Okay. And then you can see we got the response 200. That means successfully it found out the element here, and this is the the element ID. This is the element ID. Okay. And then it responds back to our client. Now our client, this is our test script. You try to send another command here. You can see element with the element ID, and then try to send the click. Then after that, appium server will try to help us to click on that element, and then it responds to our client again. It's something like successfully. Okay, so this is the whole picture, and it's matched with what I have just said you in the appium architecture. That's why I need you to remember the appium architecture clearly, okay? Because it will happen exactly like this in your test script. We send something to appium server. If correct, it will try to learn and then try to respond back to us, okay? So at the time, if we have some failure or something like that, we need to understand to debug it, okay? So I think this is very much for this lesson. Bye for now, and see you in the next lesson. We will try to explore more API to interact with the element from the application. Okay, bye bye.